Hey everyone, Rick here, and welcome to my Game Room Tour 2020. Now, folks, there's a lot to see here, so what we're going to do is just a quick overview of everything for those who just want to get in and get out. And then we'll do a little more detailed views of some of the stuff in the room. So let's begin, obviously, right here with the majority of my board games. Now, folks, these shelves are the Kallax IKEA shelves, which are perfect for board games. I know there's a lot of debate online about which shelves work best. I found that these are very satisfactory. So over here in this corner, when you first enter the game room, this little table I have set up here ended up being a place for a lot of knickknacks, but it ended up working out pretty well. Now, we also have board games in a large quantity. Now, there is really no true rhyme or reason for the order in which these were put on the shelves. In fact, a majority of these are in the same place that I put them when I first put the shelves up, with total, hope and plans to do some organization, but that didn't end up happening. But, once something's been in a certain place for a long period of time, you get used to where everything is. So now if I did organize anything, I would not be able to find a damn thing. Anyway, a lot of my favorite games are of the Ameritrash variety. Not only that, though, I have definitely expanded into some Euro games. But if you see any of your favorites on these shelves, call it out in the comments below. But anyway, we have 4 of these 4x4 Kallax units, topped with 4 of these 2x4 units. As you can see, it's pretty well stuffed. I've tried to, in some cases, slip some things into some nooks and crannies to make everything fit. And then, of course, across the top are some of the larger boxes that simply wouldn't fit in those cubes. But overall, everything seems to have fit fairly nicely. So here's some more detail of what is behind that table in these shelves. And then you come over here and we'll talk about the little vending machines in a minute. But we have some of these shelves. Now, these are unnamed shelves that I was able to acquire some time ago that also fits board games pretty nicely. They are way more modular than the Kallax shelves, which helped a lot with some of these very, oblong shaped boxes. And again, more stuff across the top of those. And then we do have another set of the 4x4 Kallax shelves with another 2x4 on top of there. And more stuff on top of that. Then you come over here, you say hi to Ricky and Henry, Halloween decorations that just don't want to be put away in the closet. So then we have a few vintage video game machines set up down here, and my favorite new addition to the game room by far is, of course, the snack zone. This mini fridge is just fantastic. I love the illumination it provides. You have the 3 major beverages: Coke, water, and Busch Light. What more could you ask for? And then plenty of snacks as well. This old armoire fits so many of my older vintage games. Now, this is where my collection really kind of got its start, with a lot of these old school games. I was just collecting just for collecting's sake. I've played very few of these. My God, some of these rules are a beast to get through. But, that's the fantastic thing about board games. For the most part, unless they get damaged or destroyed, they don't expire. So there's always hope to get those played at some point. This glass cabinet here just holds a bunch of my miniatures and some of my terrain. Some of my favorite terrain pieces are these buildings from Foreground, which are cut and colored, punch out and glue together pieces. And then several different kinds of miniatures in here. board game figures, skirmish, war game miniatures, and more of that kind of thing. More vending machines as well. And then, of course, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that one of my goals when I created this game room was to do a kind of a game shop looking, you know, little area over here. So we have a nice display counter. We have some grid wall with some unopened miniatures. And then, yeah, oh my gosh, I love this little dice display thing. So I could dump just a ton of dice in there. And it's just fantastic. You know, when you're playing a game, you want to swap out the dice or you need extra dice. Nice to have that. One of my favorite finds was this booster pack display dispenser. So I got to stick a bunch of my old unopened booster packs in there. Another neat little display cabinet. This is completely filled with, oh my gosh, how can I forget the name? Free Blades, which is a fantastic little skirmish game. Back behind this counter, there's a ton of stuff. So I have a lot of games of my own design with their miniatures in these cases. Some extra snacks back here. Of course, this Geek On board gaming backpack, which is just the Cadillac of board game transfer material. And then here is just a look at some of the figures up on the wall. Some posters and things, of course. No game room would be complete without. And I can't remember if I showed these in my last tour, but every time someone new comes over and plays a game, whether or not they win or lose, I give them one of these cups. So just a ton of stuff back there. I mean, when you get to a point where there's just not enough room for everything, unfortunately, stuff gets stuck behind the cabinet. So the cabinet itself, this display case, has just a few Warhammer miniatures in there, painted up for me. Now, 99% of any painted figures you see in here were not painted by me whatsoever. But just in here, some of my favorite little collectibles, like my one and only Mox Magic the Gathering card, some Fantasy Trip figures. Oh my gosh, those are hard to find. Some other unopened things, some old school gaming accessories, booster packs, sealed boxes. This little case here is where I hold all my card sleeves because, yeah, we are constantly sleeving games. And some little bowls, token bowls and dice bowls. And then over here we have the glass cubes, which hold two of my Warhammer Fantasy armies, Empire and Orcs and Goblins. My Wood Elf armies upstairs in its own display case. And then, of course, which was a fantastic idea, I know some of you probably do this too, have a little selection of these, just kind of like TV trays, which are fantastic when you're playing a game at the table and you need some extra table space. So this is my BoardGameTables.com table, which is fantastic. I have videos detailing that as well. This topper lifts off, and it is a recessed playing area under there. I did not, unfortunately, go for cup holders, which would have been fantastic, but I did have drawers as an option with those, which is fantastic. We have actually some miniatures I did paint, and I have videos on those as well. And then this, just tons and tons of drawers. Oh my gosh. I thought I'll never fill up all these. Oh yeah. Yep, they are absolutely full with dice, with miniatures, just tons of stuff. And we'll go through those a little bit later. This is where I stick my Mage Knight unopened booster packs and starter packs, kind of retail display. I have another fold-out gaming table here. Of course, a nice sheet of acrylic to lay over paper maps, which is just so handy. And that is pretty much everything in the main room. Of course, love my vending machines. So here's kind of a little look around this portion of the game room. And there's Cecilia waving hi. And then you come into, of course, the utility room of the house, but it's honestly kind of a laboratory. And folks, oh my gosh, if you can even imagine just the sheer amount of stuff that is in here. Okay, so let's start over here with my little workbench. It doesn't get a whole lot of use, but it has everything from paints to all the different utensils you would need to put together figures, tweezers, files, and then of course a whole selection of glues, tons of basing materials, primers, just miscellaneous stuff. So that's fantastic. Yeah, we have a couple here on the workbench, which have been there for years. And then in here, there's a ton of just random odds and ends. Oh, just so many unpainted metal figures. And then just briefly, for now, looking through some of these shelves, tons of the old Clan War miniatures game. All my Crossmaster Arena figures are in their cases there. Lots of Eslo terrain. And again, I have videos on that stuff too, so take a peek at that if you're interested. All this pre-painted WizKids terrain and stuff, which is so nice. Of course, all of my miniature building authority castles and buildings, boxes full of figures I've had painted, more terrain, that whole Eslo terrain hall that I took a video on. That stuff, unfortunately, is just sitting here. And then my Dwarvenite from Dwarven Forge, all that stuff boxed up. A lot of it I've tried to label. Most of this here is miniatures and accessories. And then, of course, the main pieces, which these tubs have just been so fantastic. Because there's different inserts you can stack on top of each other. So this is dungeons, sewers, caverns, and various, like, expansion packs like the lava stuff they did. Then we have a whole huge towering stack of resin Dwarven Forge over here. Unfortunately, you can't really see it because, again, it is so packed. But there's like 6 of these big cardboard boxes, 2, and then 2 on the ground. Those are full of Mage Knight figures. And then just tons of accessories and stuff off to the side. Then I have a little computer here, which is just handy to look up rules, or I don't know, just anytime you need a computer. Not my main computer, but just a nice little secondary station down here. There is a table here, which is very handy. I have actually played games in here before, and this does expand, so you could actually fit 8 people at this table. Oh my gosh. And then there's this. Holy cow, folks, this has just gotten away from me. I set up this table, piled a bunch of stuff on it, but back behind it all is shelves and shelves of stuff. I mean, this is like Toys R Us going out of business, just grabbing things. And again, there's videos on a lot of this. So my whole Battle Claw stuff, these Magic the Gathering sets that had terrain and pre-painted figures in it that were going at like $5-7 a piece. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. So I grabbed a bunch of those because, of course, why not? Tons of other miniatures, pre-painted and otherwise. I have a little chest here where I keep a lot of the rule books for a lot of the little miniature games that I have created. Most recently, Dungeon of Death. Boxes of capsules that have stuff in it for the vending machines. And unfortunately, yes, some board games that I am still in the process of trying to fit out in the main gaming area. All my cases of the Magic the Gathering Creature Forge figures. But there are some fantastic games here, like Little Town. I am just in love with that. But other games I want to get played, some just new arrivals. Mighty Beans, a whole bunch of Dungeons and Dragons figures, more cases of unopened Mage Knight booster packs, fantasy trip material from that Kickstarter. This box is full of these Dragamons I found at Target, and just, again, super impulsive. Mage Knight Castle terrain. These boxes are all full of different things, mostly miniature terrain. There's an Ogre Designer's Edition back in there. Several more resin sets, folks. It gets crazy. I mean, there's shelves and shelves down there. You can't even see, just full of stuff. World of Warcraft figures. I have a whole box full of Ziploc baggies back there. Dungeon Saga painted figures back there. This I got, which was an Arcane Wonders. If you remember, or not Arcane Wonders, Arcane Legions demo kit, which was kind of cool. Star Wars X-Wing stuff, miniatures in there, different backpacks and cases for things. I may need to zoom out a bit because, I mean, holy cow, back in here, I mean, there's no even good way to even show this. Tons more Dwarven Forge resin sets back there. So yeah, I have to pull this little shelf, which is stacked just with mostly classic games that a friend of mine gifted me. But there's stuff behind stuff behind stuff. It is just crazy. And then, as my furnace kicks on, you can see those dirt cheap dungeon things that I did that video on, so check that out if you're interested in that. But these tote bags are just fantastic. Okay, so game room light. All right, so that was just a quick around the room, and by quick I mean 17 minutes. But honestly, let's see what's some more close-up things. Well, like, I'll tell you some of my favorite games. 2018 was a fantastic year, despite what some people say. Gizmos, Crown of Amara, King's Guild, the Kalimala US release. Oh my gosh, I love those games so much. I have a little dragon table over here, super dusty. I have some figures on there that I actually did paint. Those are from Alternative Armies. Over here, yep, I gifted everyone who conquered the Dungeon of Death with a certificate, which, yes, I awarded to myself as well. I also am proud to say that I am a Golden Girls Trivia Champion. How many people can say that? Yes, I awarded that to myself as well. Lots of just little knick-knacky things over here. Another little advertisement for the snack zone because, hell yeah, love snacks. This was part of a Ralpartha Ironwind Metals Kickstarter where they were releasing a ton of figures, but they also gave you the ability to name one of them. So I named mine Zelktuvia of the Abyss, and then also wrote his backstory, which is printed in one of the campaign guides. But then, yes, oh my gosh, I love my capsule machines. A lot of these are the LYPC capsule machines. These are the 2-inch capsules, and then I just filled it up with some of what I thought would be kind of cool dragons, mystic gemstones. These over here are also 2-inch capsules. These are 1-inch. These fortune dice are nifty. These little poo emojis are pretty sweet. And then back over here there were birthstone bears and little animals and more gemstones. These 3 machines are, I know I compare things to Cadillacs a lot, but these are the Cadillacs of capsule machines. These are the beavers. Oh yeah, these capsule machines are amazing. DCC RPG poster. Love my posters. Role-playing game. Kind of a timeline poster, which is pretty sweet. Let's see what else. Ogre, when they had that Kickstarter and they came out with the Pocket Edition, got several of those. When they had the Fantasy Trip Kickstarter. I will be proud to announce that I believe, was the first and main reason why Steve Jackson Games offered the display, the retail display of Melee and Wizard for non-retail backers, because I had inquired about that, because obviously I'm doing this whole kind of thing. And then I also picked up a bunch of these because you want to show support. One of the original games that got me into collecting tabletop games. Oh, let's see, what else do we have? You want to go through some of these drawers, because I have dice and templates and tokens, miniatures, more miniatures, and these are Pathfinder battles and Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Oh yeah, just shelves of miniatures. No rhyme or reason, but again, they've been in here a long time enough that I am aware of where things are now. Some just wargaming things, little tokens, tape measures. These are amazing. I buy these anytime I see them, because you can never have too many of these. Line of sight, laser pointers, little Litko wound tokens, all the keys to my capsule machines, some Warhammer things. Oh my gosh. And actually, when I was doing my top 100 games of all time, which is still under construction, this is how I did it. 100 games, each in one of these, and I kind of laid them out to try to get some order to them, which I failed at because it's so hard. Just a drawer full of dice bags and pouches. This is also where all my quarters are for the capsule machines, because I'd rather, when I have people over, you don't need to spend your own money on those capsules. I have plenty of quarters. And then drawers of little token dishes, which I am addicted to constantly. I think there's a dice tower and a tape recorder, and this is a godsend because the recessed playing area in my gaming table is black, so it is constantly showing, lint and hair and stuff. This is a cool little 3D printed dice tower from a Renaissance fair. This was actually a Christmas present. Christmas 2019. This night lamp, which is just awesome. More dice towers. Got a video on that one out there. A lot of dice just all over the place. This box is kind of cool. Can I open it one-handed? Yeah. And there's dice in there too, of course, because why not? Then I have this Bose speaker system through all 3 floors of my house. So upstairs, main floor, and down here in the basement, which is just nice when I want, ambient music, dungeon, fantasy, whatever. And they all chain together. More games, some of my absolute favorite games like CO2. I love Castle Merchants, Lords of Waterdeep, Agricola, which is like in the #1 spot. I made sure that I put that guy right there because that's #1. That's the first designer board game that I ever bought. When I was still a noob thinking board games were Monopoly, Life, Sorry, Battleship, and then I found Board Game Geek, and at the time, 2009, yeah, because also, folks, if you didn't know, I started collecting games in 2009, so 2019 was my 10-year anniversary, and in 2009, Agricola was #1 on Board Game Geek, so I, being completely new, I said, well, that must be a good game, and I bought it and loved it, and the rest is history. You might see some things still in shrink wrap because at one point I was buying games by the pallet and it was impossible to get a handle on learning the rules and playing them all in the quantity that I was getting them. Oh, I love Zaya. Absolutely love Zaya. My War of the Ring Anniversary Edition. So a lot of these things, especially expansions, are still in shrink. WarQuest, one of my favorite games of all time. Dice Forge, one of my favorite games of all time. Oh my gosh, I have all my Magic the Gathering cards. For a while, the thing I was doing impulsively was buying complete sets of Magic the Gathering. So those are all complete sets of the various older Magic the Gathering sets, and I just stuck them in binders, and every once in a while I flip through it. So that was worth the money. Oh my gosh, what else? I guess back in here, I don't know if this video is giving you a honest to God impression of just how much stuff is down here, folks. All of my rolled up, in these kind of case, gaming mats, terrain mats, that Citadel Realm of Battle game board there. This is all my Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing stuff, which I have not touched. All these boards are fantastic Eslo terrain boards. Some water boards. And I mean, behind all these chairs, there's tons of more miniatures in cases. This whole bookshelf is full from top to bottom, including behind there, with more Eslo terrain. Boxes of various terrain. So there's these cases just full of this dungeon scenery. Like these boxes, I'm telling you, every box in here has something. This is Necromancers and Barbarians pre-painted figure. Not pre-painted, but they were painted. All this Eslo terrain. Definitely check out my channel if you want more details on any of this stuff. I know people are going to be like, put links in the description. How much was it? What was the retail price, in 2011 when you got this? I'm sorry, I just have no clue. Just Google it, folks. Please, just Google it. Tons and tons of Dwarven Forge stuff. All these binders have cards in there. There's an old advent calendar. These boxes are full of Mage Knight stuff. Mage Knight's just, again, these cool posters from that Iron Wind Metals Kickstarter. And then all this stuff, these little islands. These were from Eslo terrain as well, because at one point I thought I was going to do something with ships. So, I mean, if I get even the slightest inkling that I'm going to be interested in something, then I spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars acquiring stuff, and then I may use it once and then convince myself that it'll be useful again one day. But there's just no way to dig through the bowels of this to give you a better idea. I mean, my God, it's just absolutely insane. The sheer amount of gaming stuff. I'll be buried with this. I mean, oh, I pity whoever has to go through all this when I eventually kick the bucket. And can you even imagine? That's just insane. But I love this little room, and I wish I could organize it better. And honestly, I'm like, well, I'll stick it in here for now and then organize it all later. Maybe get some taller shelves, because we could do some floor-to-ceiling shelves, kind of like these. That's what I'd like to do. Something like this in there, and that would really help out a lot. All right, folks, we are approaching 30 minutes. I hope that will satisfy anyone's desire to see what this looks like now. I know I did not take a game room tour in 2019 because I had taken one almost halfway through the year of 2018. And then I figured, well, I would do an early 2021. So if anyone wants to see anything closer, or videos of something specific, or pictures, definitely let me know in the comments. But that is it. Thank you all, especially those of you who made it all the way through this. That is truly impressive. But folks, there's more to come. 2020 is going to be an amazing year, so definitely stay tuned. I love you all. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time.